Hey friends, okay, today let me tell you how I made the most of the space that I have in my small space city garden. So this is my house. We live in a town. Here's the fire hydrant, here's the street. Neighbors on both sides. I literally share a driveway with this neighbor. This neighbor is literally right in the backside of my fence. I need to make use of the most space that I can. And where do I have the most lawn? It's here. Now in the city, even though I take care of this swath of lawn between the sidewalk and the street, this is city-owned property. So this and this belongs to the city. I take care of it. I can do pretty much what I want with it, but at any point the city can come and dig it up. They've got all their pipes and stuff going to my house or other people's houses. So I did a little bit of research. I started out by calling my local government because if I can, I would like to do things the right way. Notice I said if I can. I'm not advocating that you break ordinances or rules. I'm just saying do the best you can with where you have and try and do it the best way possible. So when I called and asked about putting a garden in on the city-owned spot in front of my yard, she was very confused. There was a lot of confusion. She's like, you want to put a garden where? And then I asked if I could put small raised beds out in here, which I thought would look nicer in case they were worried about it looking messy. I asked about I asked about a lot of different things. And she pretty much said, listen, I can't tell you that you can do that, but I doubt if anyone's ever going to come check on it. So pretty much she was saying, do what you want and I'm not going to look. But don't put up any structures. So here's what I did. Right here in my side yard, we used to have two huge trees. And by huge, I mean just ginormous. They went well over the top of our house. They had some dead branches. They were considered unsafe. The city came and cut them down after we complained for a couple years about them. Now, when they did that, they marked in the grass and up to our house all of the pipes, all of the city water, anything that was out here, they marked in the ground so we knew where it was. Once they did that, I knew that if they had to dig something up, I knew where it would be. So they were all to this side of my lawn. So I knew that if I turned around and went this way, this was safe. There was no markings in this part of my lawn. So here's what I did. I created this garden. It is not a raised bed, but I did use just firewood, just some logs to edge it to kind of give myself some definition. I left some spot in the front, so if anyone parks on the road, they can step out of the passenger side without causing any problems. And then I had my husband come through and till this. Now there are multiple ways you can go ahead and turn lawn into a garden. Lots of people go through and take cardboard and lay it down and kill what's underneath and then plant right through that. I didn't have as much time. By the time I decided I was going to do this, it was already spring. So we did go through and get a rototiller and till this twice. We did it once. I went behind and picked out the clumps of grass. I didn't just leave them there to die. I took any big clumps out, and then my husband went through and did it a second time, and I did exactly the same thing. So then we had gotten most of the big clumps of grass out. Then I went down and put a load of compost. I got some dairy dew from a local gardening center. They came in and delivered it, and I topped it all with that. So I did have to weed those first maybe 2 years. Not heavily, but I just kept up on it. And now I'm kind of to the point where I don't have to. I do put wood chips down for mulch after I plant my plants. So now I've got a good section of good soil with a covering on it. And I probably won't have to put any wood chips or anything down this year, I would imagine. Kind of a good spot to see the composition. You can see these are all wood chips broken down from previous years. This is that mix of dairy dew. It rained last night, it's really messy. And you can see there's not really a whole ton of weed pressure in here. Actually, most of the things that are popping up are probably volunteers, like this onion. But I do go through and I will weed right now, early. And then pretty much as these plants grow up, they're gonna cover this space. I try and aim for it to be covered, and it's usually good. Now with this space being out in my front lawn, that's not really my lawn, there's a couple things you have to consider. The biggest one being your neighbors. So I cannot grow this space all crazy bonkers. I need to keep it clean. It needs to look good aesthetically because I don't want to get complaints on it being a mess or being weedy and have people call and complain on me, because technically, the lady said, technically you can't put anything in there. But if you do, I'm not going to look. But if my neighbor calls and complains, somebody might come look. And while I don't think they'd make me take it out, I don't want to risk that chance. So in the back, I might let my garden go crazy wild, but out here, I try and keep it cleaned up, somewhat orderly. I try and put some flowers in it and make it attractive so it looks like it's an addition to the neighborhood instead of a giant mess. The other thing that I have to do out in this garden is I have to keep everything somewhat shorter than I do anywhere else. I can't put any teepees out here. I can't put any tall structures or grow things like corn or things that are very tall. No trellising, because this is a road directly in front of me. So the only objection the city could have if they did come and see it would be, okay, you're blocking sight lines for cars. And I do live next to a corner, so I do keep that in mind as well. So I don't put anything higher than about 3 feet. I have this little decoration guy in here. He's probably maybe 3 feet tall, but I keep everything about well under my waist. About knee length is probably the best. So a pepper plant is about as tall as I get out here. So everything's nice, short, trimmed, and attractive. And so far, I probably shouldn't even put this on the internet. I'm going to put this out there, but there's so much food that has come out of this space. Even if they came tomorrow and told me, hey, close up shop on your front yard garden, it'd have been well worth it. I've gotten so much food out of it. Now, would I like to expand further that way? Yes, I would. However, I have children that like to play catch and soccer and many other things. So far I'm getting vetoed on that. But right now, I've got 30 feet by 10 feet full of garden. And maybe next year I'll scooch over like 5 more feet every year. We'll see. All right. I hope this is good information for someone that's looking for extra space in their small space garden. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.